morning everyone, and you're joining me on what I'm going to call the first real spring morning. And yeah, it's really nice. It's one of those perfect calm mornings. Sorry, I'm trying to wrap this up. It's one of those perfect calm, misty, foggy spring mornings. And I'm hoping I can capture an image or two. I hope you enjoyed the bit of drone footage there to start. So the sun is just coming up, and I'm going to head in to this Parkland here and try and grab an image or two with the fog. Now the fog it's a very much a low-lying fog in the valley, so it's not after seeping up into the area trees that I would like. But I do think I'll be able to find an image or two lower down the valley, perhaps with the long lens. So let's go and see what we can find. As the sun is coming up now, I'm just seeing countless compositions in front of me. It's one of those mornings that you just have to stop, stay calm, and just start to think, as opposed to dashing left, right and centre trying to find images. There's a beautiful scene in front of me where I've got the tree line coming down to the right of the park, and the moon is the backdrop, and the moon is setting behind them. And you've got the fog in the background that's now been illuminated by the sun coming up behind me. So I'm keeping the sun behind me, just makes exposure a bit easier, and it also means that whatever's in front of me is being illuminated. And yeah, I'm just taking some shots. I'm on the 70-300 again with the FTZ Adapter, and it's a beautiful scene. It surprisingly, it balances quite nicely. It could be a small bit chaotic, but it's just with the moon as the backdrop and the fog in the next layer, it just looks really well. Scene here in front of me, I've actually photographed it before in much denser fog, but it's even more beautiful in just like a light touch of fog, because it's diffusing the light that's coming in from the sun, but there's not as much dense fog that it'll kind of cover up the trees and the details, so now you can really see the path meandering through. And I took a shot, so I put the 24-70 back on. I took a shot at 70mm, framing the path through the middle of the image. I've got two fantastic looking beech trees to my right hand side of the frame, and the light is just filtering in through the fog. It's just absolutely magic, really. hands are absolutely Baltic. So much so that I find it hard to take the camera off the tripod. As you can see behind me, the fog is starting to filter back in through the trees again. It's a classic spring foggy morning. You don't know what it's going to do, or you don't know what the landscape is going to do, or the light or the fog. So I love how I said at the beginning of this that it's one of those mornings where I have to stay calm. And I am very calm. I'm not running around the place. I'm thoroughly enjoying myself. I'm not worried about grabbing image after image, because I think I've gotten one or two strong images so far, but I'm just heading into the fog now, and I definitely think I'll be able to find one more good image this morning. Oh yeah, I think I found it. I think I found my image. I may need to put the long lens back on, but oh man, the fog is just, look, sun rays breaking through and everything. These are the mornings I just love. Some of my favourite mornings. This is why we love coming out and shooting the sunrise, for mornings like this. Okay, I'm going to shut up now because the fog is starting to dissipate again, and try and find an image. This scene is just, I had a feeling, because I know this particular scene for its very distinctive trees that twist and turn either side of the pathway. And at the moment, like I said before, I shot a similar scene last year, but in much thicker fog, and it just didn't really work for me. But now the fog is so light that you can still see all the beautiful details of the landscape, but there's just enough fog to diffuse the sunlight that's coming in, which is now quite harsh in photography terms, but because we have the fog, it's diffusing it beautifully. And when I'm shooting in woodland like this, I really like to shoot on the longer end of my 24-70, so I'm in between 50 and 60 mil. That helps compress my scene. It helps bring the fog from the background in, so it makes it more impactful, and it also helps to create a more pleasing shape in the pathway. That shape is now compressed in through the middle of the trees, and it just ties everything together. So whenever I'm shooting in fog in the woodland, I'm always 50, 70, even up to 100 mil. So this is fantastic. I mean, sometimes it all just comes together, doesn't it? I couldn't have asked for a better way to finish this morning's shoot. As I was, so I've just moved further down from the last scene you saw, and I was just moving further down, and there's an even nicer composition, I'm going to say, because the path is winding even longer, so you can see more of the pathway through the woods. And then a person came walking up through the fog, and that one little focal point of that, and you can barely see the person because they were so far away, but that one focal point in the scene, just, it adds that, it adds a personal touch to the image. I think it adds a more magical touch. It adds a feeling that people could probably resonate with more. I don't know, I can't describe it, but it's just, when you have someone in the scene like that, it just adds that bit of magic. There's a photographer here in Ireland, Emer Collins is her name, and she captures people so well in the landscape, often on the beach, people walking on the beach, or people by the sand dunes, or even people in parks like that. She captures them so well and so elegantly, and that's kind of the word I'm going to use for Emer's work. And I feel that the minute I saw that person pop into the scene there, that very much inspiration came from Emer's work there. So yeah, that was absolute magic. And he passed up by me, then we stopped to chat. I said, look, do you mind? I said, I grabbed a photograph of you there, but you're very, very far away, you can't see your face or anything, just the figure. And I showed him the photo and he was delighted. So wow, magic. These mornings don't come around often. And I had a completely different plan for this morning. I was actually quite disappointed. I knew there was going to be fog, but I had an area in my locality. This is a mountain, Seafin. It's a mountain I always climb, but generally you're above the fog. So I was going to shoot an inversion and then come down into the valley and hopefully get some nice woodland images. But I mean, so when I woke up this morning, I was a bit disappointed as I drove around the mountain and to try and see. There was no fog in the valley at all. I drove over the other side of the mountain and I could see the fog in this particular valley, so I knew where to come then. But yeah, I'm rambling now. Fantastic morning. You'll notice that I'm shooting a lot handheld recently, and that's simply because mirrorless technology now and in body stabilization, a lot of time there really isn't a need for a tripod, especially when the sun is up. And I enjoy the freedom of being able to do this, different angles, different heights, without having to constantly adjust the tripod. And there are times when I'll need the tripod, obviously, like when I shot the telephoto shot earlier on, or if you're shooting pre-dawn or post-sunset, then you're going to need your tripod. But in scenes like this, I just love bang, bang. It's yeah, fantastic morning. I'm going to leave you with that final image right now, and until I see you again, stay safe, all the best.